Alright, so whenever I last left off, I was trying to teach y'all how to edit these shapes. I couldn't remember how, so I had to go and look it up to see what I was forgetting. It was actually really simple. I actually made a few mistakes. So, is what we need to do is we actually need to create a new Sprite profile. Now, they have open shape and closed shape, so I'm going to go over both of them, and I'm actually just going to create two of them. Open ground, and then I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to say closed ground. There we go. So from here is what I need to do is I need to click on this, and I need to click on both of these, and we actually need to create a new sprite for this. So I'm just going to drag ground right here. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to do the same thing. There we go. So from there, I'm actually going to keep this. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of that. So I'm going to go ahead and go up here to 2D object. I'm going to click on sprite shape. I'm going to move this one over here. And let me go back to 2D. I'm going to create a second one. So now we have two of them. In fact, I'm just going to do all this inside the editor so this way you can more easily see it. What? No. No. There we go. So now we have two of them that are basically the same. One's open, one's closed. So I'm going to do the closed one right here. I'm going to click down on this one. I'm going to drag the controller right here as well. So you can already see how the difference is between closed and open. So whenever you have an open ground, this would be something more for like a top-down view, I guess you would say. And you would have to edit all sides. And you also have to create corners and things like that. But, you know, other than that, it's not too bad. So right here, we have our sprite shape. Now, I can actually edit this, and you'll see that it actually repeats, which is actually really, really cool. But if you try to create a point right here, you'll see that it doesn't quite do it as well. Also, if like, I created this as a repeatable tile map. If you were to come in here and you had, like, edges on it, in fact, you know, I'm just going to show you this real quick. If you were to come in here, let me go up to the top. If you had edges like this that were rounded, let me come back in here. No, wrong layer. There we go. So if you had something like this, the way you would do that is you actually go into the sprite editor. There we go. You actually go into the sprite editor, and basically no, not double click. You'd click on your sprite. You click on sprite editor, and from here is what you do is you just move these points in just a little bit. And is what that will do. In fact, you'll see what that'll do. I'm just going to move these in just a little bit. I think 2 squares should be enough. There we go. We'll hit apply, and you see how that actually changed? So it's actually repeating all the pieces in the middle until it gets to the end. Once it gets to the end, that's where it stops repeating. If you want to create this as a smooth shape, is what you do is we have the edit spline mode. All you have to do is just change the snapping to continuous. So if I were to click on this, and I change this to continuous, now you can see that I have a nice smooth sprite shape. And you can also change this as well to give it different curves and whatnot. So you could actually make this really, really unique, and you know, you can just kind of make it your own. You know, something like that. So that's how you utilize the sprite shapes and everything like that. Now, the only thing to keep in mind is if you put a character on this, he's going to fall through. And the reason for that is because of the fact that this has no collisions. So you could create all these different colliders, or you could just click on this and type in edge. And I actually have an edge 2D collider right here. And as you can see, it closely follows it. It doesn't quite hit it dead on, but you can always come in here and you can always edit these. Just kind of like coming in here and whatnot. So you can always do it that way and create your collisions. No big deal. I don't know why this creates so many iterations, but, you know, it did. So, let's come down here to points, and let's just say 10. 10 points I think would be a lot easier to work with. Okay, let's change this to 5. There we go. It keeps changing it back to... I don't know why it keeps changing it back to 39. Yeah, I have no idea. But either way, that's how you would create that. I guess you could change the offset like so. Just drag up the offset till it's up there. That'd probably be the easiest way to do it. That way you wouldn't have to sit there and fight each one of these curves as to where it was at. So that's basically how you'd create something like that, and you know, your character would detect that collision so it wouldn't fall through at this point. Other than that, that's basically the sprite shape editor. Now, Unity introduced this in 2019.1, but they've actually changed it around a little bit, so some of the stuff I'm not quite used to just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come back in here and let me go ahead and just duplicate this object. And the reason why I'm duplicating it so this way I can put it right here and kind of show you this. Let's go ahead and see if I can actually make this object where it's nice and round all the way through. So what I need to do is I actually need to come in here to edit shape, and I'm just going to edit these points like so, where we create something like this. Now, from what I said earlier, this actually needs to be rounded. So if we make it rounded, we should be able to get it where it looks halfway decent. And that one, there we go. Now we're probably going to have to pull these out a little bit more. No big deal. I'm going to pull this one out. There we go. So just a nice little simple little shape like so. I'm thinking something kind of like that. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just tutorial purposes. Okay. Yeah, you know, I'm going to leave that one alone. Alright, so let's go and stretch the UVs. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Now I'm just going to let it keep doing its own thing. Alright, so the last thing I want to show you, snapping. There we go. So snapping is actually a really useful feature. I can't quite show you with this one, unfortunately. Let me see. Where are you at? Edit. Snapping. There we go. Okay. So it looks like they changed snapping around. I'll have to figure that one out later. But I'm going to get back to this real quick. If you notice, I just created a new point and I just dragged it right off. Oops. So I'm keeping this one as an endpoint so it knows when to stop. And if I click on this and change this to cubic, one of the nice features about what they have changed is, if you notice, as I'm doing this, it's actually taking the edge and dragging it with me. And so this is actually a really, really fast and easy way to create a level just in no time at all. Let me go ahead and delete this one real quick. So you could literally just come in here and create whichever level you wanted to, just by coming in here and utilizing some of these sprite shapes. You know, just something like this. Just keep clicking in the middle and just keep moving it. and very quickly you can have a level that is basically just ready to go. Create one more right there. Awesome. There we go. So this is actually a really useful tool. As you can see, you know, like if it was following the player could start here but not go back this way. And so, you know, the player could just keep walking. And you could actually utilize a parallax background with this, which is basically where you create elements behind this. So this way it looks like that they're moving at different speeds as the camera's going by, which gives it more 3D depth. But I think this is where I'm going to stop the video. Sorry I had so many issues with it. Some of the stuff I'm still learning, but it's actually really, really handy to know, especially if you're wanting to get into 2D games or sprite-based games. I know one of my friends, he wants to, and I'm hoping I can show him some of the stuff. But until next time, I shall see y'all later.